Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Tamikia TTC. Today I'm going to talk about how I chose my donor, who I'm so in love with. Okay, so where do I start? You go into this, I am going to pick out my baby daddy from a catalog mentality, where it's, if I'm not doing it for love, then I might as well be superficial. He needs to be cute. He needs to be so tall. He needs to have these color eyes. He needs to be, have this color hair, whatever the case may be. And that's how I started. That was my intentions going in. Of course, I knew I wanted him to have a good medical history. I know what my family medical history is like. So if I could avoid certain things on his side, all the better. And then I started reading the information on how to pick your donor. And some of the things, it gave me things to think about. Like, what happens if this kid gets a little older and starts asking about their donor or asking about their father, and maybe they become a teenager and they finally ask me why I picked the donor that I picked for them, and I wanted to have a good reason. I really wanted to have a good reason. I didn't want to find myself in a position where I couldn't answer it in a non-superficial way. So I went away from the superficialness and decided to be a lot more serious about who I picked and why I picked them, and to think about, is this person somebody that I would consider dating or even marrying? So that's how I went about it. I went through looking through the profiles as if I were interviewing a husband. I wanted to know if we had things in common, if our personalities might match, if his parents might like me based on, what he wrote about them. So that's how I went about it. So first things first, I am African American. I do date outside of my race. But everyone has a preference, and because I'm African American, I try my best to find an African American donor. Now, what I did know is that I did not want a donor who was anonymous, but I was willing to go that route if I could find someone I really liked as an African American. So the catalog at the crowd bank literally only had 22 options for African Americans. Whether they were mixed or 100% African American, that is all they had, all 22. So not bad. I looked at all 22 profiles. Now, how did I look through the profiles? Okay. First things first, he had to pass the medical history. If there was something in the medical history that I didn't like, I didn't look at anything else. There was no point in looking at anything else. Nope. I was fortunate enough to have a coupon so that I got the highest level subscription that afforded me the childhood photos. So that was nice. Although some of the older donors still don't even have childhood photos. And I decided I didn't really want a donor who's been around that long as well. So that narrowed down some options. So I think there were two. I had two favorites out of the African American donors. There were some that I just absolutely didn't want to be bothered with, because I also wanted a donor who, I know they get paid to give their samples, but at least who had noble reasons that weren't prideful, or what's the word? I guess who weren't like conceited, because I came across that, like a donor in his interview, when they asked him why he wanted to be a donor, and he said, well, I think he wasn't an African American, but he said, I think I have the face that has afforded me privilege. And I feel like that I've been very lucky in life and that my genes should be out here in the world and, and whatnot. And I was just like listening to this interview and just thinking how grotesque this person must be. He's definitely here for the money, and he is pridefully spreading his seed out here because he thinks that he has some attributes to himself, meaning his looks, meaning his luck in life so far, or whatever, that he should afford that to other people, so he should be a donor. Yeah, that's not the kind of baby daddy I'm looking for. That's nope, not at all. So I was just immediately turned off as I was listening. So I had two favorites. Two of them either sold out or I guess maybe somebody, maybe the cryobank noticed something in their history or something that sort of took them out of the running. So two of my favorites were gone, just that simple. But I didn't want to, even though I preferred someone who was African American, I didn't want to completely limit myself to just African Americans. So after looking through all 22 profiles of the African Americans and finding my favorites, I then took to everyone. Well, that's not true. I did look for certain ancestries. So I looked at Greek, I looked at Italian. I just really didn't see, and this I was totally basing superficially off the children pictures, and I just didn't see what I was looking for, So then I just said, this is too hard. Let me just open it up to everybody, and then everybody who was not anonymous. So if I was going to go outside of my own race, I definitely did not want a donor who was anonymous. I needed someone who was open ID or open. So I looked for just those people, and I think I had 212. And out of the 212, I based my favorites on who had good-looking childhood photos. I think that afforded me maybe 8 more donors. And then once I had done that, then I looked through those 8 donors and I found my perfect, totally, I'm in love donor. He's not African American. Turns out he's Dominican. And his profile says he's like Dominican and Caucasian, but I don't know. I think both his parents are Dominican. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he's an entrepreneur, sort of come from humble beginnings, very similar to myself, is basically self-made. The other thing I liked about him is he's a creative, he paints, he's also tall. I think he's like 6'2", not that I was looking for height. I wasn't looking for height at all. But yeah, his kid pictures are so adorable. I was so in love with his kid pictures. And then when I found out he was a creative, and then he's got like a brother that plays like 10 or 14 instruments. He's got a little sister that he says is incredibly, incredibly smart. He's an entrepreneur. Also, I liked his medical history, of course. His mother has a bachelor's degree in computer science. Like I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. And his father, I think, is a carpenter, and grandfather might have been a chef or something like that. So there was a lot of creativity. I'm good with my hands. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I've done electrical work. I've done plumbing work here in my house. I do my own yard work. I haven't built anything other than like IKEA furniture or like Walmart furniture. I like putting things together. I think I just like jigsaw puzzles, and they're all like, 3D jigsaw puzzles to me. But yeah, so I was just, his voice was nice and deep. That's just the one thing, you you look at somebody and you have pictures of them, and then you kind of envision what they look like and how they are, and then you hear their voice, and it's just like, I don't like how his voice sounds. And that's a total turn off. So I really felt like he was somebody that I would give a chance to, date-wise. So, and I thought his parents would love me. We had so much in common, family-wise, individual-wise. And I just felt like, you know, I felt like this was a good match. And my aunt actually said, well, maybe you can, you know, put the childhood pictures, you know, in a search and maybe find him on social media and find him in real life. I'm not doing all of that. I mean, she's a hopeless romantic. I'm a hopeless romantic as well, but I'm not going to do all of that. That's crazy. I would really be a crazy woman. What would I look like contacting him on like social media to say, hey, you know, I was looking up donors, and I saw you and I picked you as my donor, but I thought maybe I could find you in real life. So I, you know, did the catfish style investigation by your childhood pictures, and I found you. What do you say we go on a date? What kind of sense does that make? That makes no sense. Makes no sense. It's totally crazy. I'm not doing any of that. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it wasn't a short process. It certainly took me some time. I wasn't incredibly impressed by the African American choices. Not standards wise, but just some of them I just didn't feel like they were doing it for noble reasons. Or, I mean, even if somebody came out and said, you know what, I need the money. That's honest. You know, that's at least honest. So, I don't know. There weren't a lot of African American donors to begin with. And I really wish I could have found an African American baby daddy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as, you know, this is somebody who I felt like we'd get along as, you know, friends, if not even like a couple. And somebody who, you know, we had some commonality with. And I could say that, you know what, if I met this person under different circumstances, you know, I would give him a chance. Had I got to know him, and, you know, outside of his medical history, but I mean, the medical history is just number one. I mean, I'm picking a baby daddy. It's not out of love. It's, you know, so definitely medical history. So that was always the first factor. If I didn't like your medical history, you came out of my favorites, and I didn't look at anything else. There's just so much information that it's just not possible. And even this donor, I still haven't looked at all of his information, but I saw enough. And when I get pregnant, then I will read through every single thing. But I just read through the important things. So medical history, staff impressions, his recorded interview, and his own, I forget what it's called. It's something, basically they answer a couple of questions, and then he gets to give a statement of his own. Those I read, and I didn't read completely through his entire profile. So, because there's information on like his grandparents and aunts and uncles. I didn't read into all of that. I did read up to his information, his parents, and his siblings to see how all they were doing. And, you know, his reasons for being a donor seemed to be very noble. He was very, I felt like he was quite a romantic, and he's a creative. He paints, you know, and it was actually, he put a picture of his painting. It was actually really good. And he put an explanation, which told me that he was kind of a hopeless romantic as well. So, you know, I felt we vibed on that level. And the fact that he was open ID sealed the deal for me. Sealed the deal. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, he is such a romantic. I really like him. And then I listened to his interview, and he had a good voice that I wouldn't mind listening to on the phone. And then I was telling someone else about his profile, and I was going back through it, and I looked and I saw that he was open ID. I said, nope, he is it. I don't have to look for anybody else. My kid can get his name, his last known information, and make contact with him when the kid or kids are 18. And you know, hopefully he's open to that, since he said open ID, he would want to know. So that was really important to me, and so happy, yes. So that is how I picked my donor, and hopefully I can get pregnant by him. He has a really good sample. The 2 IUIs I've had really good numbers on the amount and the motility. So hopefully I'm not getting pregnant because of what's going on with me in my blocked tubes and my damaged other tube. But I'm so excited now, and he's just a cute. His kid pictures are so cute. When I saw him, I was just like, oh my gosh, he's so adorable. And that probably jaded me a little bit while I was going through his profile against all the other profiles as well. But I mean, doesn't hurt that he's a cute kid, doesn't hurt that he's a hopeless romantic, doesn't hurt that he's 6'2", doesn't hurt that he's an entrepreneur like myself. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I mean, I have a day job, but I'm also an entrepreneur. And I haven't talked any about my business, but I do have a couple of websites that I sell things on. You know, maybe I'll get a chance to talk to them at some point, you know, whatever. That's not what this channel is about. This channel is about my TTC journey, not me being an entrepreneur. But, you know, those are things that are what's going on in my life, and that's similar to what's going on in his life at the time. And you just never know how much they lie on these profiles either. But assuming everything is true, I like him. I like his parents. I think his parents would like me. I think we have a lot in common. Can't say that he would like me, but I feel like we would have a lot in common and that we would get along really well. So that's how I picked my donor. And hopefully, all you out there who are using frozen donor sperm can find someone and be as happy and get pregnant with a donor of your choice as well. All right. Well, thank you again for watching. Thank you for following. Sticky baby dust to all the TTCs out there. Bye.